Before I intro this video, I want to explain why there was no reactions for the last two episodes. Don't worry, I won't be long. Ghost Rider vs. Spawn's recording just kinda got messed up and there was no point uploading it because one of us was entirely inaudible for pretty much the whole thing. And Mahito vs. Shigaraki's early release led to a miscommunication that just sort of resulted in us watching it separately in our own time. Now that that's out of the way, Mahito vs. Shigaraki, a matchup I do not care about with characters I did not care about. I'm going into this not entirely blind. I know enough about Shigaraki overall, at least enough to meme him as the guy who goes, Decay, Decay, Decay! Over and over again, like a really big fan of that one Kamen Rider. You know, the one with this belt. But this episode had a bit of an uphill battle to climb. Let's see how it did for me. Okay, ad break though.
Hello there.
You survived my idol transfiguration?
Your level 1 quirk has no power against G Fuel, the sponsor of my train ride.
What, huh?
Get him, boys.
You might be proud of your G Fuel, but it'd take a drink with no carbs, calories, or carbohydrates to beat me.
That's exactly what G Fuel is. I wouldn't expect a normie like you to understand!
Did you really just say that?
Look, noob. G Fuel is the ultimate cheat code in a can for epic gamers like me. It's vegan friendly, which is very helpful.
Why? Are you vegan?
No, I've just never seen the sun since I was 5. I need all the sun energy I can get from plants.
That's not what vegan friendly means.
It also contains caffeine. Someone under the age of 18 like you couldn't handle it. But as an adult who drinks responsibly, I am more than equipped for such a task.
I'm gonna be honest, you are the last person I would think of to have responsible energy.
Aktua!
Did you really just say that?
OMG, you survived that?
Oh, please stop.
LOL, I'm about to 360 no-scope you with my raw level 3 super!
Cringe expansion.
What?
The last thing I need to hear is your terrible lingo. You know, I think video games suck.
You.
Back in my day, all video games were the Nintendo.
What? How did you?
Because I have G Fuel. Over 50 flavors of it in tubs or cans. You should enter the link in the description and use code BLOODRIKE for 20% off your order!
Tomura, he's dead.
Oh, number 0 failure royale. I'm gonna lose so much Reddit gold for this blunder.
Ad break over. I think my lack of interest means that I have a lot more and a lot less weight to the words, these analyses are fantastic. A lot less in the sense that I really don't know them well enough to be able to say if they got the characters right. At least with Mahito, because I know Shigaraki well enough to have a general idea of what he should be like. I can't say that for Mahito. But also a lot more weight in the sense that this analysis feels like one geared towards giving meaningful information about the stories, characters, and abilities of both of them to people who may not know them at all, like me with Mahito. Shigaraki's, it's fantastic. Everything I knew about was covered very well, and everything new to me was stuff I had been told about, but made to sound a lot more interesting than people had done prior. See, my relationship with Shigaraki is that I don't like him in Season 1, but then as time went on, I did get to like him more, which I'm pretty sure was the whole point. But I kinda dropped off around Season 5 of Hero Aka overall, and then after that point people started telling me how goated he was, but explained him in ways that were really uninteresting. Death Battle though, I think, finally pulled it off. One thing, I really like the structure of the analysis. Starting with Tenko Shimura, transitioning to the Hand of All For One and the transformation into Tomura Shigaraki, and then hitting us with the revelation that All Might's teacher was Nana Shimura, in a similar way to how All For One hit All Might with that knowledge. It's that kind of writing that I really love to see in Versus analyses. The capacity to convey emotions and meaning from the story in the analysis without just reading the events directly and conveying them in the same way they're conveyed in the source. I will say, the way they word Decay makes it sound like it was a new quirk that Shigaraki acquired due to All For One. Combined with how they don't actually name his quirk at the start, it does kind of imply that Decay wasn't his original quirk, just the wording of it all. As someone who doesn't know if it actually was his original quirk or not, I'm a little confused. It's not a big deal, it was just a little bit unsure. It's so minor when the rest of the analysis hits so hard. The story and powers are interweaved exactly the way I like. Going over his narrative and the progression of his capabilities, melding them together seamlessly, giving us things like Shigaraki's vestiges and soul things that initially seem like just a versus relevant thing to bring up, and then they actually transition that into how important all that was to his story. And the ending is fantastic. Bookending the analysis nicely by ending with Deku being the thing Shigaraki needed at the start of the analysis, just too late to matter. Mahito's analysis bookends itself similarly, just in a less, wow, that's really cool, and more of a, what a fucking loser way. Now, I have a lot less to say about Mahito's than I actually thought I would now that I'm up to writing the segment. It's a very solid analysis. It goes over his abilities well and his overall story. I felt like there wasn't much of a story. Like, he gets born, he becomes a nihilist, he forms this group of losers, Yuji spawns in, he tries to take him out, and he fails. Comparatively to Shigaraki's more elaborate one, it's just not a lot, but that's not inherently a problem. There might just be what Mahito's story is. This is another one of those cases where I can't call it a criticism because I simply do not know enough about to say whether or not the shoe fits. What I can say is that I wasn't as invested because I didn't find it as interesting, but I still did really like the overall idea of Mahito. The whole concept of him becoming a nihilist due to his origins as the inherent conflict between people. Most of the time, people have conflict over nothing, meaningless things. We argue and have a go at each other over stuff that has no inherent value, which, you know, being said in a versus video is almost a poignant argument. But as he is inherently born from human nature in some way, shape or form, in the face of imminent death, he cannot stick entirely true to his nihilism. He doesn't embrace death because he is born from the emotions of creatures that inherently want to live. Is that, like, exactly how things are in Sorcerer Battle? Again, I don't know, but this is what I picked up and I like the angle. Generally though, I think Shigaraki had the more compelling analysis. There was simply more to talk about, I felt like. Mahito's is not bad though. It's still very solid, meaning this year is literally 6 for 6 when it comes to really good analysis. You love to see it. I think the analysis is the most underappreciated segment of pretty much any death battle, despite making up the vast majority of an episode. Now, understandably so, the fight is what most people come to see, the conclusion is the part that the entire concept of the show is based around. But I love the analyses so much and these are fantastic. Helped of course by just amazing editing. DJ is a wizard. You know, a lot of people like to say, I can do a lot of things, but I can't work miracles. That's why DJ exists. God was showing off when he made DJ. I wish I knew what he knows. He brings to life all these panels, making them look so fluid and gorgeous. The effects are amazing, the animation's amazing, even just the title cards for characters are amazing. This is phenomenal work and among the best the series has ever given us. Also, is it pronounced Mahito or Mahito? Because WizGhost was saying Mahito to Mahito for the rest of the video, and I have no idea why. Geno's Kiru. Also, how did they get a 24-minute and 10-second version of this 24-minute and 8-second video? What secrets lie in those 2 seconds? Anyway, this animation is amazing and on par with the best of the show. Oh, sorry, did I just blurt that out loud? The animation is just, oh my god, it's fantastic. Not even just because of the animation itself, to be clear. The fight has some great writing behind it that I think told by far the most compelling story we've gotten all year from Death Battle. The setup is great. I think it perfectly captures that crossover feeling. Why do I say this though? Not because of the interactions, or the reason they fight, or anything like that. No, it's the presence of Pedestrians. The only other episodes that immediately come to mind for me that did this were Hulk vs. Doomsday and Goku Black vs. Reverse Flash. I'm certain there are others, but I really like those 2 episodes, and part of it is that the presence of innocent people that get killed helps sell those stories better. Hulk vs. Doomsday doesn't have the most complex story, but it has one that perfectly feels like it fits with the characters. It's kind of what you get in an actual crossover. Doomsday shows up one day, and instead of loitering in a field or scaring some deer, he's actively attacking and killing people just for the sake of it. Hulk then gets sent out, presumably because he's the strongest guy around, and yeah, that's it. That's the story. It's perfect. Goku Black then shows up specifically to kill these people because he's a dick. Eobard then gets involved because this disrupted his chill. Not only does this do a lot to sell the stories, but also the characters. Doomsday's wild, mindless hatred for life and Goku Black's arrogance and sense of self-importance are perfectly conveyed by how they kill people in the animations, as are Hulk's heroic nature in spite of his own monstrousness, and Eobard generally being a villain solely because he hates this one guy. Like, with nothing to do relating to Bartholomew in the moment, he's just kinda chill. That same kind of idea applies to Mahito vs. Shigaraki. Mahito's nihilistic views and need to kill any human for the simple sake of killing them, I think is captured perfectly. Here are just some people waiting at a train doing nothing wrong, and he goes out of his way to kill them, because why not? Shigaraki, meanwhile, being a more thoughtful villain who doesn't want to kill at all times for the sake of it, someone who wants to make a statement and all that, wants to have an impact. He's waiting there for the train because presumably he's biding his time to take out as many as possible. Probably when that train actually shows up. Or maybe he just wants to get on the train so that he can get to a destination and actually plan something better. The big advantage this has over those two other episodes is that the Pedestrians look way better, and their deaths are more elaborate. I think it's great. Also, I like that we can see a vestige dying in Shigaraki immediately on first contact, to show that even when it's not made explicitly clear later, every hit from Mahito is killing those vestiges. Their reason for fighting also seems fine to me. In fact, I think they put more effort in than necessary for characters who would literally just fight on sight for the sake of it, and I appreciate that. And the narrative conveyed for this fight I think is really strong. Shigaraki's immediate thought is to offer Mahito a place in his society of dickheads and misanthropes, and Mahito says, fuck off, mate. And then they throw hands. Once Mahito actually goes after Shigaraki, he goes back for the kill, and it doesn't work. Shigaraki gets noticeably more annoyed with Mahito as the fight goes on, and drops the whole playful cringeite aspect and just wants to kill this fucker. Mahito just continues taunting and playing with him. In his attempts to break the guy, Mahito goes into his very soul and starts deconstructing him. However, Shigaraki already knows everything Mahito says. Mahito cannot break him by calling him a crying child inside, because All For One made sure with all those hands that Shigaraki would never forget what he truly is. Acknowledging that and moving forward in his own villainous way is what differentiates Shigaraki from someone like Mahito. Once Shigaraki now gets the advantage and Mahito realizes that all he actually accomplished there was pissing off someone way too strong for him, he immediately tries to run and gets deconstructed back. Shigaraki goes off on his own tangent about why Mahito sucks. But unlike what Mahito did to him, it's not out of some gleeful desire to make him suffer. Shigaraki is genuinely hateful. This guy thinks he's him. He does things because why not? This existence, this being, is an affront to all the shit that Shigaraki went through in his life. While both in the end may be assholes who only want to destroy and kill everyone, Shigaraki went through so much suffering to get there, and he's proud of what he is. Mahito just is that way. He didn't have to struggle like that, and it's not helped by the fact that Mahito acts as if he knows anything about Shigaraki just because he knows his vague story. That whole grow up thing hitting Shigaraki like, you think you know me. I love how this fight can be read, just from the ways in which they act, the anger in Shigaraki's tone, the two stories weaved the analyses and how they get implemented in this fight. You know, Shigaraki went through a lot, but unlike Mahito, he doesn't act like he knows everything, like he's above it all. And would you believe it, the fight itself is just really good. Of course, the carbonated sunmellows of animation is back, and Moro delivers us some phenomenal stuff here. Dynamic, fluid, and gorgeous. I love how this fight looks. Moro's style is extremely appealing to me. Everything from the expressions, to the motion, to the body horror, to the lighting are great. Every shot is so well composed. Even like before Shigaraki starts doing anything, the Nomus get some really cool shots and motions. And one of those is just them punching each other. One of Moro's strengths, of many, is, as seen in this last episode, fluidity. And using that to make the gross body shifting stuff as disgusting as possible, fantastic choice. There's only a few shots I can think of that I go, it looks a little more awkward than the rest. Like the fight with the clones where Shigaraki's entire body's barely moving, but like, even that's only particularly noticeable because the rest of the fight is so good. Shigaraki's All For One tendrils, the Black Flash, the train, this fucking Archer Emiya dash into Mahito's face, the effects and the lighting and everything looks amazing. The vile transformation into whatever this thing was called, I genuinely don't care, and this almost fully 3D feeling 360 fight within a train feels just so good. Partially because it does feel like Shigaraki's immense bulk is restricting him a bit. And then comes the climax, which just sells everything. With Mahito's domain expansion, Shigaraki finally makes proper contact with the real Mahito and begins decaying him, and then gets hit with this shit. The whole bit is perfection. The animation looks stunning as all the arms show up and Shigaraki visibly recoils, not knowing what the hell's going on. We can see him extend his extra arms to block some of Mahito's. Also, this beautiful hand shit that I'm pretty sure is 3D because Moro isn't dead yet. And the one thing I didn't mention earlier when talking about the story, that I'm sure most people were expecting in the episode but was still so fucking cool to actually see, All For One himself within Shigaraki's soul, and him being the one to tell Mahito to fuck right off. I just love Mahito's confusion when this happens. All For One's only line is chillingly sick, and part of that is the analysis giving proper context for what he means by it. And the way he one-taps Mahito's souped up form, it makes All For One feel like a proper menace. Few characters in a death battle have ever captured the amount of sheer aura that All For One has here, and the most immediate contender is Metal Sonic from Moro's last episode. On an almost entirely unrelated note, this is also the second time in a row with Moro where the death of someone trying to run away only to get caught regardless. And this time, while Mahito is just as tenacious, he certainly comes off looking a lot less cool than Eggman did. Still, very appreciated. I love his run, obviously referencing what was shown in the analysis. It's really abrupt and hilarious, and I think it's meant to be. The way he tries flying away when his legs are gone, and then he quickly picks up how Decay works and attaches his whole head and starts running on just that. But at this point, the tiny legs don't save him. So, man, Mahito Shigaraki. A great animation with no problems. Well, it's a big show. I have two issues I want to go over that I got from the episode. First of all, this really was kind of the Shigaraki show to me, which I know was a problem some people had with Bowser Eggman 2. It was just the Bowser show. To an extent, I even agree, especially considering the comment about Eggman being totally fine with throwing hands directly, and that's not really shown in the fight. But in that episode, Metal Sonic and Sage still provided a lot of power, and while Eggman himself didn't come off as super imposing, the overall army did, due to the power of his heaviest hitters, which I think is acceptable enough given that the stipulation of the episode was it being the armies against each other, not just Bowser and Eggman. Mahito doesn't have that luxury. I just don't feel like any of the big moments were really because Mahito was doing anything, with the sole exception of domain expansion. Him taking out those Nomu was cool, I'll give him that, I love how he did it, and I'm quite fond of how playful he comes across in most of the fight. He definitely didn't come up as weak, that's not what I'm saying here. His body language, his lines and deliveries, they all sell him. However, when I think of big moments in the fight, only domain expansion comes to mind for Mahito. I think of Shigaraki's big energy Kamehameha near the start. I think of that blisteringly fast charge into Mahito's face. I think of All for One and the ending, which is just Shigaraki chasing Mahito off as the new top dog. I mean, the most notable thing Mahito did other than domain expansion was a Black Flash that I didn't even realize was a Black Flash on my first 3 watches. And the funny kissy thing that just results in him getting laid out. I guess he has the better transformation sequence? I don't know. I'm not saying Mahito got stomped or anything. He gets his licks in with the clones, he puts Shigaraki on the back foot during the train fight, and he hits him with the domain expansion that probably would have taken Shigaraki down if not for All for One. But with all that they showed in the analysis, and especially the comments of his extreme creativity, I can't help but feel a little let down. I will put an asterisk on this criticism though, because this could just be how Mahito fights. If that's the case, please tell me below. I'll happily take this entire point back. For all I know, the creativity he displays is not something he does during combat, but more so just something he does when he's killing for the sake of it, for fun. But what I'd say is my most pressing criticism is the ending. Now on a storytelling basis, fantastic, no notes. Animation quality, beautiful, no notes. But pacing and presentation? Well, let's compare this to Bowser Eggman for a moment. You're probably sick of me bringing that up, but it's the most relevant episode when it comes to discussing this one, aside from like maybe Gojo vs Makima, but that's a conversation I'm not equipped to have as a JJK dodger. So in Bowser Eggman, after Bowser puts himself back together, we see the Death Egg turn into a block. Bowser sucks Eggman in, with Eggman trying his best to get away. He tries to fight back, Bowser Jr. stops him, Bowser gets his final line and delivers a very impactful punch that launches Eggman into space, with great sound design, a great death cry, and a really climactic oomph with the block going off and raining coins as Bowser laughs in victory with a cheering army. In Mahito Shigaraki, Shigaraki decays the train and starts decaying the ground around Mahito as well. Mahito runs away, decays, flies away, decays, pops his head off, and runs directly into Shigaraki's gross giant arms. Shigaraki gets his venomous final line, and then Mahito's head kind of just pops, his wimpy scream happens, and then Shigaraki stands there as the music continues without any sort of end, and then it stops. Okay, now that I explain it, it's kind of hard to explain. Basically, Mahito's death feels more abrupt than it really is, due to the fact that it takes less than 1 second between Shigaraki's last line and Mahito's head decaying. This might be accurate, but making it a touch slower and giving Mahito's final scream more of an impact and making it longer would have added a bit more impact, at least to me, as well as having the music either cut out or ramped down into the final chord. As it is for me personally, the KO screen dropping down without the music even ramping off makes it feel like there was supposed to be a fake out death they didn't include. Like maybe this is Death Battle's way of saying, aha! You don't know the death is a fake out just because the music is still going. In this episode, the death does happen and the music is still going anyway. I don't think so though. I haven't seen the issue really brought up by anyone I know, though I've also not really looked. So I have to assume this might just be a me thing, but it is about the only noticeable blemish in my viewing for what's otherwise a phenomenal fight that I think captures almost all that I love about the potential of crossover verses, and how it can be used to tell stories with characters who will probably never get to meet in this way. I also want to shout out the voice acting. Shigaraki was done by Tom Schalk. I mean, what can't this man do? Incredible performance. And Mahito by Sean Chiplock. who really does capture exactly the sound of someone who wants to touch people. These performances do help the episode a lot, especially Shigaraki's growing venom as the fight goes on. The track Skin Deep also helps. It's far from my favorite track, grunge is not my favorite genre of rock, but it's still good. Then there's that conclusion. Finally, they found a way to word this was complex behind the scenes to lay out, but pretty simple when actually figured out, that isn't just going, this was extremely close guys, trust me. This was a puzzle? I'll accept that wording. Now, there are some things I found questionable in presentation. They mentioned how Danger Sense could see Mahito, but the way they worded it didn't sell me on that. Cursed spirits can't be seen. They show text on screen saying it's a form of second light. They say Danger Sense could see this, but all they ever say about it is that it can vaguely track foes. They don't say how. This corner box calls it extrasensory, and that's it, which I think it could have been clearer. I guess I have to assume, like, in Jujutsu Kaisen, regular people are constantly hearing and smelling these curses around them, but not seeing them, which is really funny. One thing I do understand but have to question is them going, Shigaraki catches lasers, so he's at least light speed. It makes sense. I get to a general audience this would be basic common knowledge, but to me as someone in this community and who knows that reacting to and interacting with lasers doesn't always or even usually get to even light speed, because oftentimes the character is moving their body a much shorter distance in that time than the light has to travel. Now, that isn't inherently common sense the way that works. It's in fact extremely common to see in like comment sections and on places like Elon Musk's Monument to Human Sin, arguments like they just aim dodge, when calcs are measuring, regardless of whether they moved before the shot was fired or not, how far they did move during the time where the laser or bullet or lightning bolt was approaching them. Not a criticism, I get it, nobody likes to edit calcs. Why do you think I went with the style I do with my versus show? Please watch Folgo vs Sector 2, Ben Singer. I also feel teased by the presence of an almost golden tree and a not golden tree. The almost golden tree is the claim in the analysis that you cannot kill Mahito without directly targeting the soul. And then the conclusion says, oh, but these characters who cannot do that fight him anyway. It's not a golden tree. It's not a golden tree moment. They did not say, here's the thing and here's why it's wrong. They said, here's the thing and here's why this very similar thing is also a thing. It's just, you know, when I first watched this, I was very tired and my mind flicked to life in that moment. The not golden tree is then bringing up this Stars and Stripes feat as if it's going to be prime for a big calculator, and then instead of bringing up why it doesn't count in the conclusion like a real golden tree, they just don't fucking bring it up at all. What a blue ball! I want to know how much it's worth! Okay, you know what? Oh. Well, that's shit. Neither of those are criticisms, to be clear. In fact, I have no real criticisms of the conclusion overall. Just things that personally got to me, but I understand the logic behind them. I don't think they inherently need to be changed just because my taste would like them to be. Also, what the fuck? This entire corner box is just them going, anyway, Mahito's fucked regardless of if Shigaraki has a way to kill him. So yeah, Mahito Shigaraki, a testament once more to how a matchup I don't care about or like doesn't have to result in an episode that I don't care about or like. Something that's going to be extra relevant with next time, Doomslayer featuring Master Chief, the winner of the rematch poll. Do I think it should have won? Yes. I would have maybe preferred Mewtwo Shadow if it weren't for like, I don't think Shadow needs to come back again. I don't think he needs to come back, regardless of how amazing Shadow Generations was. And I have other matchups I like from Mewtwo, including other matchups that include another returning combatant. More importantly though, I think this is the most requested rematch maybe of ever. I think the only matchup I've seen personally requested in the comments for a rematch more often is Link vs Cloud, which happened, and the other potential rivals in Mario vs Sonic 2 and Goku vs Superman 3 happened. I think if anything, it was dumb to put on the poll, because it was just given the victory. There was never a scenario where it didn't win. And personally, I'm not particularly excited. I do like both characters in both series. I don't hate the matchup. It's just like, for me personally, I've always had a difficulty picturing someone like Master Chief holding his own against the modern Doomslayer. There's that incongruity and portrayal that makes it hard for me to envision, but that's not my job, that's Death Battle's job, and I'm fully ready to experience what I hope to be a fun and exciting next episode, which gives us a good old-fashioned gunfight, something Death Battle is sorely in need of. Anyway, goodbye, hope you enjoyed, have a good one! Well, that was that review, I hope you all enjoyed it. Yeah. So, I was a bit worried whether or not I'd be able to get this one even out. There's been a couple technical difficulties with my computer, with my monitors and all that. But hopefully that will not be a hindrance. This and a few other things should be coming out, hopefully soon. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you thought below. I hope this one gets a good reception, not even like just the review, like the episode, because like I really like the storytelling in this one. I want something to like, I want more people to push Death Battle to like do that more often, because I feel like it's not as common as I would like. I'm not on the team though, so like I have no sway there. Yeah. Again, just tell me what you thought below. Share your opinions. I'm happy to hear them. But yeah, thank you to everyone currently scrolling by on the side for supporting me on Patreon. You can too if you want to. You're all legends. They have access to reviews like this, early, patron-only, Discord. Sometime soon, another ranking video should be coming out early on Patreon as well. That's going to be coming later down the line in April. So yeah, I hope you're all ready for that. And now it's time for them to make me say stupid things. Okay, here we go. See if I can maintain my cool with these ones.
Curse spirit? Mom said I'm not allowed to curse. My name is Shigaraki. I made the normies.
Not only did you resist my idol transfiguration, but you're also able to see me.
That would never work on me. I have 5 million power in Rise of Kingdoms. Today, I will eat 26 corn dogs. Today, I will eat 1 dog. I'm sorry, I cannot do an Xbox Live argument. I don't own an Xbox.
What? I thought you were a gamer. What do you mean you don't own an Xbox?
I'm a real gamer. I only play on PC.
You only pay? Oh, you're one of those guys.
What? What does that mean? What do you mean, one of those guys?
I think we all know. You know? I think we all know.
What? No, you get back in here! When Mom finds poop suck! Your Honor, League of Legends.
Death.
Go up, scrub. Also, I'm a versus debater as well. It's past my bedtime! Nemesis Bloodreich. Bottom text.
What is that? Is that your fucking fursona? Grow up.
You grow up!
Oh my god.
The day I was asked to spell iCup was the day I learned to trust no one. The doctor said I am morbid. The doctor said I am morbidly obese.
I can't do it. It doesn't help that morbid. It sounds like it's about to go to Morbius. That's something Shigaraki would still be saying in 2025.
Listen up, pal. If you want to date my daughter, you have to date me first.
I guess. Okay.
Boob is a dish best served in my mouth. Easy, lol. Get wrecked. Genuinely, you could make the argument Wesker wins now. Jarvis, tuck me in and play the new Arch Enemy album in my headphones. I haven't got that album yet. It should be good. I need to pick it up at some time, but you don't get them often in Australia. Your local JB Hi-Fi does not stock Arch Enemy CDs. Well, not usually. It has some old ones, like the Angelo Gasso era. Not into the pit! It burns!
Okay, next.
Consider this a warning, kid. Last time someone swore, I cried!
Chris Hemsworth will return as Optimus Prime in Avengers Doomsday.
I'm debilitatingly shy around women! Sans is weak.
It's a little version of me, Shadow. I want you to have it.
I don't really want this.
Oh.
As you can see, Mahito, I have depicted you as the Soy Jack and myself as the Chad. Game over! I guess you could say we're two kings killing for the crown.
Okay, I made it through that. I have survived the encounter. I have lived. I have made it. I have done it again. Okay. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed. Oh god. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good one. Say goodbye to the Corys currently on screen. Cuddly on screen. That's accurate actually. I'll see you for the next review or next ranking if you want to watch that. Have a good one, folks.